Well, hello everybody. Today is November 21st, no, 25th. Today is the 25th of November, and Thanksgiving is coming up next Thursday, which is the 28th. So it's time to get a turkey, get in the brine, and get him nice and juicy for smoking. And I'll take you through the steps here that what I do to brine my turkeys, and eventually come Thursday I'll probably make another video on how I do the smoking of the turkeys. And usually when I smoke a turkey, or when I brine a turkey, I can do, you can make all kinds of brines, but usually a basic brine is just water, salt, and vinegar. Or water, salt, and sugar. No vinegar. Water and salt and sugar. And in this pot I've got, maybe a quart and a half of water. And back here I've got some salt. Now when it comes to salt for brining, you don't want to use regular table salt. That stuff that's got iodine in it. That's got other additives in it that makes it free-flowing, all kinds of junk in it that you don't want getting into your turkey. Okay? Now, seeing that this is a pickling salt, it's a real fine grain of salt. Now, for every gallon of water that I use 1 cup of salt. But seeing that this is a real fine salt, I go by weight on my salt, which is 8 ounces of salt, and which doesn't quite fill up a full cup, okay, of the fine salt. And of course your sugar, I use a half a cup of sugar, and of course I use the pure cane sugar for that, but you can use pretty much any kind of sugar you want, you know, for brining. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on probably about close to high anyway, and then we'll get the salt in here and our sugar, get those put in there, and then we'll grab us a little bit of a spoon, and we'll get this stirred up, and all you want to do is make sure that everything is dissolved in it, the salt and the sugar. So we'll come back when this is pretty well heated up and dissolved here. Alright. Okay, that didn't take long, and as you can see, that's running nice and clear. Can't see no granules down in there at all. So what I'm going to do is, I got some, I could have added this right at the beginning, but I took probably about a tablespoon of peppercorns and put them in my spice mill, and just give them just a few seconds. You can see that there's a few of them in there that aren't even cut up, but just to break them up a little bit and add a little bit of oomph to this here brine. So now I went ahead and turned off my burner, and you can see that it's hot, but I can still put my hand in it for half a second. But we're going to go ahead and take this, if I can do this one-handed, and we'll take this over to our container and pour it down in our container. Now you can see there's still a few crumbs and stuff in there, but that's okay. We'll get that out of there. What I've got here is some apple cider that I had canned up last April. I canned this up, and we'll go ahead and just pour one jar of this into the pot and swish it around a little bit, get all of the goodies out of there, and pour that in the pot. Okay, that's pretty well cleaned out, so we'll go ahead and add the rest of the apple cider to the bucket. And I'm going to add four quarts of this apple cider. Ooh, this is smelling good already. Whoops, not going to fall any further. Okay, and there's 4 quarts of that. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit more water, cold water now, because we've got to have enough brine to cover this here turkey. I'm going to swish that around in there and get all the goodness out of that jar. So that's pretty well cleaned out. Swish that around, pour that into the next jar. If I can do this one-handed, well, we'll make a mess. It all comes out in the wash, and swish that around, and we'll get that poured into this one. And then we'll swish that around and get all that goodness in the bucket. Okay, now what we're going to do is take some ice and put that in the bucket. And we'll take our handy dandy stirring stick and give this a stir. And we'll just let that cool, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But in the meantime here, I went ahead and pulled the turkey out of the refrigerator. I've had it in out of the freezer and in the refrigerator thawing out since Thursday. Now, I just pulled it out of the bag. There's the bag right there. Now this is a 19.47 pound turkey, and originally it was $1.49 a pound, but through this Winn-Dixie thingamajigger here, I got it for 59 cents a pound. Okay, so, and you can see that, you know, even sitting in the refrigerator for 3 or 4 days, there's still ice inside of it, and it's got this piece of plastic in there. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and leave that in there for now. But oh yeah, and this what they call the idiot timer. That is trash. That goes in the trash. Get rid of it. I don't trust them. I don't want nothing to do with them, because they're not accurate. Okay, here's the sack with the giblets. We'll deal with that. And what I want to do is just go ahead and get everything out of the inside of this guy. There's the neck. And there's probably some other stuff in there. So there's more ice. But what I'm going to do is gonna rinse this guy out real good and clean him up some, and then we'll come back and we'll get him in the brine. Okay, I went ahead and I rinsed that turkey off real good in cold water. You don't want to use warm water on this. You want to use cold water. You want to keep that thing nice and cold at all times, because you don't want no botulism setting in. Okay, now I went ahead and rinsed it off real good, and I dropped it down in that brine there. And you can see that there's still the legs are sticking up a little bit, which that's all right. But I'm going to go ahead. You know, that ice that's in there is pretty well melted already, so I'm going to go ahead and add another container of ice to it, just to make sure that thing stays nice and cold. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the cover, put the cover on it, and let it sit till Thursday. Now, seeing that today is Monday, that's going to be 3 days of sitting in that bucket on ice and brine. Now, you don't want that ice to completely melt in there. If you see it losing a lot of the melt, if you see the ice melting in there, just go ahead and add some more ice to it, because you want to make sure that that thing stays cold. So we'll be checking on this thing here periodically between now and Thursday. So, but we'll be there. We'll be back on here.